Welcome, everybody, to Stay Curious. I'm your host, Mark Marquette. So glad you joined us today as we're broadcasting inside the American Space Museum in downtown Titusville, and happy to have our partner and friend of our museum with us here, Carelton Bailie. Hi, Carelton. How you doing,
Good to
buddy?
be here. Good to be here. It's always a pleasure.
You brought the full regalia here with you today.
It's Halloween.
Halloween. You got a nice Halloween shirt on there. That's a cat on a dinosaur fighting off skeletons and meteors and stuff. Very appropriate there. I just opted for my usual space theme here today, but no, I've always Carlton and I become friends through this museum. We are kindred spirits as photographers, professional photographers, defined as we paid our bills with our cameras for
That's right.
a long time.
I'm
And
not ignoring you. I'm turning my phone off.
no, glad
because-
that you're there. You brought a couple friends there. Of course, Fozzie's here. All right. And you were a friend. You're a big fan of Godzilla,
I gotta get you back in the Godzilla.
who
train.
is the greatest monster of all time.
King of the monsters.
But Fodzilla is for FOD. It means what?
Foreign object debris.
FOD. And so people that worked in the program would go out looking for FOD. They were FOD.
They didn't want things floating around in space.
Right. And you brought an appropriate. What's this Godzilla? That's
This is my Halloween Godzilla. He's sort of a cutaway version of. He looks regular, and he looks Halloweenish.
I'm gonna move the
Okay.
over here. And you love Godzilla so much. You've been to Japan, haven't you?
No, I was.
But you've met the actors and stuff like that.
I stay in contact with them on a very regular basis. I've been invited over there, and I was supposed to go last year. Had the money, had the everything scheduled, and then Helene hit,
Oh,
and I couldn't ask the people who lost their
Hurricane
house.
Helene.
Oh,
Yes, Helene. No, you've taught me a lot about. I got into Godzilla because of you. It's a real. Those of you that get into it, each Godzilla movie has some moral theme about society hidden inside of all the wonderful creatures and all that. I mean, I know the Ghidra, the three-headed Ghidra, for God's sakes, you taught me about. So those of you into Godzilla, you know what we're talking about. But that's just part of the fun that we all have here at the American Space Museum, and a lot of space workers and people in the industry like yourself, or like amateur astronomers, like I've been all my life. They're Renaissance people. They're very interested in other things that might not interest the normal people.
Well, I had an astronaut got mad at me because Fozzie hadn't sent her a Facebook request.
Oh, is
And
that right?
That's right. She says
Fozzie has his own Facebook
he has
page,
his own
right?
Facebook page under Buck Bailey,
Buck Bailey.
and he's got 100 friends that aren't mine.
Oh, okay.
Which that's kind of scary. But he's got 400 friends, over 400 friends.
I'm beaming up my phone here so we can talk to you all with Carlton. I've got some questions about being a rocket photographer. How many launches do you think you've watched now?
Well,
and photographed?
I kind of stopped counting at 7 because for the last year, the ones in the middle of the night, if I'm not within 10 miles of it or so, I photograph it, but I kind of like every 2 or 3 I count as one, because I'll go out and do a streak shot maybe, or if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I just happen to wake up and I run out with my phone, I see it, but I don't count it as an official kind of launch. But I can verify at least over 700, I think. Every Delta launch that of the Delta 2s, 3s, and 5s, Delta 4s, I'm sorry, it's the other ones with the 5s. Every Delta launched after May of 1986 from the East Coast, I saw, which was like 135 or 140. And Boeing and ULA even sent me out to Vandenberg, and I shot 6 out there for them.
Well, we'll talk about, feature a couple of your launches. The Shuttles of the month of October.
There were a lot.
Yes, we had 12 beautiful shuttles launched in October. We're going to cover STS-41 that you had on there. And I'm getting a phone call, so I'm not going to answer that. as put that on hold there. We want everyone to know that the 40th charity auction of space memorabilia done by Bid Again Auctions and Chuck Jeffrey is Saturday, October 25th. You may pre-bid now. Go to our website and you can see the over 300 lots on there that we're doing. This is an important fundraiser for the American Space Museum. Chuck Jeffrey, our collection analyst, you were just talking
here.
to Chuck
That's
here
right.
today.
The man knows
In
his
there, he
thing.
dropped off a nice check for our museum of our share from the 39th auction. So we'll be talking a lot more about this, but it'll be on our Facebook page and go check it out here. Also on our, all the links of that will be up by Friday, which is tomorrow. Also, Saturday, we have our bilingual STEAM education program with Natalia Sepulveda. She's doing the Spanish language in space. There's Natalia in the middle there, this AI-generated poster there. If you're local, sign up for our November 8th, which is going to talk about spin-offs that we're thankful for, and December 13th, robots in space.
Now, is this just for my, because I've never been down here, and as you know, I live very close, so maybe I should start coming. Is this just for children or kids, or is it all ages, or?
No, it's a good question, Carlton. It's elementary school is what we focus on, about 15 kids, but we could always incorporate adults into the program. We have adult space workers that Natalia brings in to talk about their careers. And we could bring Fozzie in sometime and talk about how important it is to keep everything clean and nothing hitting our spaceships when they launch off. So,
Okay.
but that plants a seed that, maybe we should do a
Or-
adult education
Or just sit in the
program
background,
evenings
listen,
there.
and I can get
Oh, you're
ideas.
welcome to. Of course you're welcome.
Okay, get ideas for
Yeah,
the Thursday
indeed.
shows.
There's our promo for you to be on the show today. And I hope that yeah, I saw that you posted on your Facebook page there. And we're going to talk about a few current events. We're going to talk about something in space history at the end of the program that has to do with a flying carpet. Okay, maybe a magic carpet ride,
As much
if
as
you
I,
will.
as much as I want to fly,
And there's the tease on that. Who's got the guts to ride a paracone is what this is called. A re-entry surface that brings back a human being alive, supposedly. This was thought about in this date in history in 1963, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But, every photographer, including myself, has 4 or 5 images that I think defined my career. One of mine is a President Carter on campaign photo I took of him shaking a hand in the crowd and in the air. Like, it was very cool.
Right.
This is definitely yours. You were the first published photographer to have a rocket pass in front of the moon.
that I've been able to find. And the thing, and like with your iconic photograph and my iconic photographs, we did it back before the internet. So it became iconic by word of
For
mouth.
the internet, there wasn't even any desktop
There
computers. when I did it.
there wasn't there was digital cameras. I don't even think were out when this came
heck
out.
no.
So
Well, this was 2000, right?
right, January of 2000, start off the new millennium.
And now we have photographers regularly call me up and say, "Can you get me over at the condos because my app says that the launch is going to go right in front of the sun or right in front of the moon from right at that spot." And Chris LeMarie is one, and Chris nailed a beautiful sunrise shot by calling me up and getting over there. But this was by happenstance, right?
This was the Air Force put us there to watch an Atlas launch at the old press site, which behind us, and actually for security reasons, if we had to get in out of, say, a phase 2 or an anomaly, we used the old mission control building that was for, I think, like the Mercury Gemini kind of thing, or at least the Gemini. It got torn down because of all the asbestos, but we were told to stand. Well, we were given an area about 100 feet long that says, because that was the place to be, and you put your tripod down, and it got delayed, and we're kind of looking at each other going like, can we go home now? And they said, no, we're going to launch. And they launched about 15 or 20 minutes late. So if it had actually gone on time, this picture would never be in existence. I might not be sitting here because I might not have been able to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And people, there was one digital camera out there, everything else was filmed. So we didn't even know till the next day what we had gotten, or if we had gotten. Everybody thought they had seen something go through the moon, but the fellow to the right of me, it was just outside the moon, and the fellow next to me on the left side, it went through the moon, actually, but his was a digital, so it sort of blew the moon out and got the rocket, but not so much the moon, whereas this is on film. So
what makes this sweet is the exposure of the Maria, and that's a great telescopic view.
And
How long was the lens there?
this was probably an 800
800, yeah, that sounds about right.
on
About
film,
8
400
millimeter.
ASA, and this is before Photoshop, I believe, or at least before I ever
You
had
even see a
Photoshop.
little thruster in the upper right-hand corner going off, silhouette of it up there. So,
Lockheed
way
Martin
cool
used
shot.
it as their Christmas card that year.
well, and your Aviation Week in Space Technology was the place to be published, like my Newsweek or Time magazine that I strive to be in when I work for Associated Press. There's another Aviation Week. Atlas V flies into tough market.
That was the
Boy,
very
that was some
first
nice
one.
light on that. The
Wasn't it
baby.
though? And back in the day, we could get up on top of the VIF, the Vertical Integration Facility,
Uh-huh.
where the rocket would be installed onto the launch pad, and then the launch pad would actually roll out to the thing. Then more and more people started showing up for these launches, and they didn't let us back up there. But yeah, that's the Atlantic Ocean in the back, and that's one. Those are two of the 12 or 13 covers I think I had over the years.
Excellent, excellent. We want to say hello to some regulars watching today. Rosalie Jubilee is on there. We've got Wooden 2 is watching. Steve Jokums, hey buddy, good to hear from you. Woodian 2 says they saw a Gehedra when it first came out and remember crying because of that movie.
Aw.
And Gehedra is the three-headed monster there. Hi, Carlton, says Rosalie Jubilee. Remember me and the Apollo 13 teen girl.
I do remember you.
And Mr. Bailey looks like some of the actor guys I saw on panels when I went to WonderCon in San Francisco
Oh,
before Anaheim stole it, says Fred Kleiner.
I am.
You know Fred? Hey, Fred.
I might know,
Thanks for-
but by sight, but name. But I'm jealous that he got to go to WonderCon. Anything going on the West Coast, and yeah, a lot of people might not recognize me because I did get my yearly haircut. So
You do look good. I'm jealous of his hair because he has a lot and I don't. Back when you got to see a thing like that on the big screens, what would it said? We got Oliver Brown watching, fairly new Stay Curious watcher. Tommy Usiak says,
hello,
I'm
Tommy.
watching CB.
Come on back.
And who else we got there? Oh, RTL returned to launch 1960. Hello from Scotland. Okay, and is that Robert Law? That could be
It might be Robert Long.
Law in there.
He
There's
said he was
an
gonna
excellent
watch.
story about Robert Law in one of the newspapers up in Scotland that we'll share on Facebook, and I may share that with y'all tomorrow. I meant to today, but just got doggone busy. Mitch Rothman's watching in Colorado of Manned Space, so there's some people giving you some love there, and you certainly do deserve it. You do not travel alone, though. You take Fozzie with you everywhere. Oh, here's a couple good pictures there. It's a couple recent pictures. This was one of the Falcon 9 morning launches.
Right, that was very recently, I think.
That was your recent launch there with the maximum Q atmospheric sensation.
Usually you'll get it. I mean, I get them usually with the nose cone, but this one getting it the full rocket like that, it's very, for me at least, it's kind of rare.
And when you got a Falcon Heavy with a probe that is destined to Europa, this is the Europa mission going to Jupiter. Yeah, to see 3 Falcon 9s strapped together, did you ever think that was going to work?
I had more confidence in three of them strapped together with a fourth on top of getting off the ground. I was a little skeptical of the two of them landing side by side and not taking each other out when they're 50 feet apart coming down. But we put remotes out for that one, and I grew up with, well, I never grew up, but I in my youth I would watch Buck Rogers. I would watch First Spaceship on Venus, and I saw him go and I saw him land in these movies, and you're like, oh man, that's like science fiction, and now it's science fact.
Yeah.
And it's kind of come full circle, at least for me. And I hate to say it because anybody who knows me knows I was not on board with Elon when he started, but I tell you what, we are. It's almost like he can't do any wrong. Well, the spaceship, with what he's got now, he's testing, and a lot of people go like, well, they keep blowing up, but then, Orville and Wilbur didn't on the first time, so we got a long way to go, but a short time to get there.
Well, the Falcon 9 whole program has changed the Space Coast in the last 8 years beyond what I ever thought it would be. I arrived here 8 years ago. They launched a couple of them, literally, and man, now it's just a cadence of I don't even get up for them anymore.
There's supposed to be a launch tonight, I think.
And supposed to be one tonight. We've had bad weather tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Over the last week or so. Marty Winkle's over there, my co-producer and your friend also. He said he's got a question or comment for you.
I got a question from Robert Law. Can you feel the heat from the rocket as you are close?
The closest we get to them, like the old Delta IIs and the Atlas, we were just over a mile or so away. We wouldn't feel the heat. With the shuttle, you could, especially if we were up on top of the VAB roof watching, you could feel your insides vibrating when the sound would get to you. You'd hear the car horns going off 3.5 miles away. And as the noise got to you, you could feel your insides reverberating, but never really felt the heat.
Okay, good question there, Robert. You travel, like I said, Fozzie is a companion of yours, as a few others we're going to see here. That's one of my favorite shots. You got one where you laid your belly on the gravel there, going up to Artemis, the Artemis 1 out there on the pad. And we have done many shows with you, and so just Google his name on our YouTube channel. Put a search in there for Carelton Bailie, and you'll see about 8 or 10 shows that we've already done. But we want you back on a standard basis, and I'm chose the second Thursday of every month for you to come up here. So thank you for doing that. Last month we had 2 months ago we had a fire in our museum and had to tell you to come later. Actually, it was a month ago.
A month ago, yeah. And you can see with what I just sent you, half of what I sent you today would fill 3 or 4 shows, I think. So
Right.
hopefully if you run short on people, we'll be close by and nothing
Great.
to do, and we'll come on back down.
Well, you can book your trip to Artemis, okay? And you posted on Facebook that you have got 5 tickets booked for Artemis. You're
I
taking
do.
with you your fur babies, it looks like.
I do Sir Drewell's Cranky Pants, which is one of my older...
There's Sir
they're all-
Drewell's in all his honor there.
Okay, now we're embarrassed.
Yeah.
That is Sir Drewell's Cranky Pants. He's getting up. He's about 18, 19 years old.
Oh, is he really that
Yeah.
old? Okay.
And that's why he's cranky, I think.
Yeah.
We all get cranky when we get old.
And you've got
Gypsy Bailey,
and
which
Snowball.
and Snowball. Snowball is the one that disappeared 10 years ago and reappeared last year.
Okay, Gypsy's black and
Doesn't photograph
and
very well.
skittery
Yes.
there in there. So, but tell people that haven't signed up what this is all about.
A lot of times when NASA has major flights to, say, Artemis to the moon or to Mars or Europa or wherever they're going, they have this website, and I try to make it public on mine and send it to the museum here. And you sign up, you put your name, and then they etch it into some sort of a, they used to be CDs, and now they're probably
thumb
DVDs
drive.
or thumb drives, and they put it on board the spacecraft. And when it goes and is launched, your name goes, a picture of your ticket goes on this thing,
Microfiche in a
Right,
way, is what
yeah,
you're trying to say.
on the
So
launch.
Serge Rule's Cranky Pants will be on there along with you. But you left off some of your feathered friends there at the preserve there in
Yeah,
Canaveral Groves. I didn't even. I couldn't find a good squirrel picture.
This
But you're regularly a wonderful guy that he takes care of his feathered neighbors and furry neighbors all around
if
there.
anybody knows how to justify my place as a national wildlife refuge, I could use that because I could use some donations to help feed these guys. Because this is just this is a portion of a typical day for me.
Well, a portion of your typical day in the shuttle era was getting credentialed to go up on where are you at here?
This is on top of the VAB. Far distance, you see the Atlantic Ocean. Over on the far right, just to the edge, is one of the launch complexes. That probably be A, and then B would be, well, it's just behind the camera set up there. And I'm holding FODSI and Space FODSI. And I would get up there occasionally, like every 4 or 5 launches. I would get up there to do a launch from up there, and it was the launches and landings up there were just I mean, you can't even describe them to people. The strange thing about this picture is I did a layout of, this was a Discovery launch, I think, and I did a layout of the launch for Aviation Week that week, and they needed a picture of me to put in their behind the scenes article, and this was the only selfie I had from that launch, and I said, but I'm holding these little guys, right? And
You're playing with your toys.
and you don't want to put that in Aviation Week. And they said, well, if they ask any questions, we'll tell them those are your little thumb buttons for starting your remote cameras. And I go like, okay, so this picture is actually
that's an
was
Aviation Week.
printed in Aviation Week on the table of contents page
How about that? All right. That was,
when I was young.
yes, indeed. A great shot. Questions, what it was like to be on top of the VAB. You were there at different hours of the day. Were you there at night?
I
Was
tried.
it windy?
Oh.
Was there a railing over there that you were scared? I would be so far away from the edge.
I don't like going up on ladders. I detest going to a mall, which can't find too many anymore, on the second floor. I hate heights. I despise heights. But I would get up on top of here, and I can only imagine it's the adrenaline is so rushing through me that I don't feel it. I'm standing right next to the railing, and there's about 10, 12 feet between the railing and the edge of the
Okay, I see what
VAB.
you're talking about
And
now.
you'd be sitting there. It was very, very windy up there because you're 540 feet, I think, up in the air. You'd be standing there, and all of a sudden the vultures would come swooping up out of nowhere and swoop up from below and rise above, riding the air currents. It was extremely windy up there. You rarely could wear a hat. And the
Yes, you could wear a
well,
hat. There's
yeah.
another picture of you up there in the VAB.
yeah, and it was cold that day. I will say that. And you live in Florida and have a hat like that, and you use it even if it's only one day a year. You use it when you can. But the roof was painted white, and it would reflect the heat, and so it was very, very hot. It wasn't so much hot, but you get sunburned, and you would get windburned, but it was well worth it. And I tried not to go up there at night for, not use up my golden ticket at night, because I would stay down below and do a streak shot, and that way at daytime I could go up there and see exactly what was going on. I was up there for the first double Falcon 9 landing, and to watch them come down and see them touch down from up on the roof there was
Sweet. There's the crawler way above my head, and is that the into the turn base in there?
that's the little the little area that goes into the turn basin, which goes right into the press site there.
Looks like Fozzie's got a Christmas sweater on.
See,
there,
it was
right?
winter. Fozzie was wearing his ugly Christmas sweater. Yes, he was a little chilly that
But
day as
you
well.
like having some good luck charms with you wherever you go.
Wherever I
out
go,
there.
there's Rodanzilla, there's Fozzie. It looks like a little armadillo in the middle there, in reference is to Rupert over on the Space Center side. I have a little husky, a woof woof wolf that was given to me by my good friend Patricia. I got the little guy that looks like
Hi,
me.
Patricia.
Hi, Patricia. And then Fozzie's angry little brother over on the far right, and he's always yelling and screaming because he has to get up from bed and go out there. After 40 years, you got to do something. I have to do something so I'm not bored and monotonous out there.
Well, good, and you are obviously entertaining the other photographers around you. I know Jean Wright is no stranger to bringing some good luck charms out there.
She brings her little trolls.
Or trolls, that's what she's
Yes.
got. Trolls. Any other photographers
I
like
No,
be as creative as you out there?
not as creative as me. It all started years and years ago when he was called Flat Stanley, but I like to call him politically correct. The way I saw him, he was not Flat Stanley. He was dimensionally
The
challenged.
Flat Stanley. Yeah, I was looking for the flat mark over here.
So,
Flat mark. That would've been a good-
and I try to take a little bit different each time, but if I don't have time for it because I'm busy setting up, they don't get shown. They always go out. They just don't get shown. Because I do take the photography serious, and that's my number one goal for going out there. And then once I'm, ready to work my magic, then they work. I call it, they work their mojo as a good incentive to get the launch off the rocket. They're not in control of the weather. We blame, if they don't go because of weather, we blame that on somebody else.
There you go. I was looking for my flat Marty and flat Stanley. I guess I'll find them later. I actually think you're distracting the other photographers so they screw up their pictures.
Well,
And that's what I think. You're trying to throw everybody off their game,
busted
and they're
again.
looking at you there saying, how's he going to do a good picture with all that?
Yeah, in the long run, it also is a way to get remembered.
There
People
you
go
go.
like, and then you maybe see somebody every 2 or 3 years, and they go like, "Oh yeah, you're the one with the little green guy."
Well, here's another one with some photo chops there, Mr.
Oh.
Mark Usiak. Just to show people, when we talk about remote camera systems, you go out on a bus with other photographers, set up your photography rig that is activated by sound or bundle them up against the elements, and then say goodbye and hope the batteries last.
Right, and you used to go out there every time they'd scrub, and we go out there. Now we set them out for 48 hours. And this is Mark Usiak, good buddy. He and his brother Tom. Hello, Mark and Tom. We missed you down here.
In fact, we got a little action there that
He
that you
was
photographed there. But I wanted to show they donated to the museum on loan this Hasselblad camera that's in the case at the top, and the yellow part is the sound
Fact.
sensor.
that tripod is probably the tripod he was using on that Artemis setup that he was setting up right there.
Yeah.
So that was for Artemis. And I changed my 9-volt battery. It's the only thing I have to change in I've been using my same trigger since the 90s. You got guys out there now that will take a solar panels to power their units. They take generators, but I keep it as simple as I can, because the more you try to improve it, the more you try to change it to make it better, sometimes the more is not better, and they don't work so often.
And yes, that is Mr. Wooden too. That is an SLS that you see there. And Robert Law says that Jim Lovell tested the Apollo navigation telescope on the roof of the VAB, and that'd be a good place to get away from the
Ground haze.
artificial light pollution. going on there. And Rosalie Jubilee wants to know, when the rocket went up, how loud were the windows rattling? I guess she's referring to in the VAB or.
Well, I know Walter Cronkite was amazed when the Apollo went up because the windows in the CBS building there at the press site started shaking so bad. I think people had to go up and hold them because they thought they were going to break. It's funny that while I'm, at least with me, when I'm shooting it, I don't hear noise. And if I do hear noise, then it's got to be really, really loud because I'm so focused on getting a picture, tracking and making sure it stays trackable, that I don't, you cut out noise. And if I do hear it, it's really, really loud. So if I hear one, then I know it was really, really loud. But I think at the pad, you've done it, my triggers are set at 110 decibels. So when the noise, it's all Radio Shack triggers. When the noise would get up to 110 decibels, it would start the cameras rolling. On the space shuttles, I would get 7 or 8 pictures with just the main engine. So just the main engines were a minimum of 110 decibels, and obviously would go further. I just didn't need to set it any further. Probably, you could probably put it at 140, 150 decibels. When that Delta exploded over the pad, they were set at 110 decibels. It stopped when the rocket got out of view, and they blew it up, and the camera stopped. But as the pieces started hitting the ground again, it started back up. So even the pieces falling back to Earth were making in excess of 110 decibels.
Interesting. He's talking about the famous Delta explosion that.
In 1997. Yeah,
right.
that's on. You can look that one on the web.
Yeah,
January
we've
of.
done a story on that where you had some creepy kind of pictures on your film on that. Well, it is as we show, it is a risk out there. Mosquitoes, the heat, occasional alligator. You're looking around there. Maybe that's what Mark's doing, is looking around, seeing where an alligator is.
Nah, he wanted to see his face in the camera, so no, I told him to turn around. So this was actually the gate behind this gator was the gate that separated us, and we were inside the pad at pad 40 with an Atlas launch. And, no, 41 with the Atlas launch. 41, yeah, 41's the Atlas launch. And he was inside the pad, and he was sat there right at the gate about 20 or 30 feet from where we were setting our cameras up. But I took some others with him and the VIF in the background, saying that cutbacks were, because it was a time when everybody was cutting back and everything. So I, in my little weird sense of humor, I said this was the new security guard that they had hired because he worked real cheap, because all he had to do was feed him and he wouldn't go away.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
hamburger today to guard your.
And of course, the more they say, stay away, that just, a day out there without seeing what I call the Florida sharp-toothed murderous waterlog, it's just not a complete day.
No, it's not. And there is that UCAC camera situation there with their work on there in our shuttle gallery. And there's Tom, Big Brother Tom with Najma, who helped us here at the American Space Museum. And Tommy, good to see you there. And I love people standing there looking at it. I'll get some close-up pictures of it there. It's a Hasselblad camera there worth a couple $1,000s and a nice lens. So thank you so much. That's our newest gallery here, and it's good to show off. And by the way, that picture, the big printed picture, is STS-26, Return to Flight of Discovery, and they won the Picture of the Year with that image there. So, and we love it.
They
in
are
our display there.
foremost at the top, if not one of the top two. They're probably the top duo in photography out there.
Well, give it to Bob Preston and Steve Nolte
Quadruple.
also, that did their electronics on
Right.
this situation there. So let's segue to the Shuttles of October there. 12 beautiful shuttles launched in the month of October. We had Crip 41G there with the American flag at the top was Bob Crippen's second flight. And he had two women with him, Sally Ride and Kathy Sullivan, the first time two women ever went to space together. We're going to talk about STS-41 there. There were missions to Mir, hard hat missions. No missions by Endeavour in the month of October. Columbia had 3, Challenger 2, Discovery 4, and Atlantis 3 of these 12 missions of October. And one of the missions, what strikes you there as a mission or two you remember covering?
Well, I remember more befores than after. I remember the John Glenn one, obviously. 41,
Which is right off your shoulder there. That's
yeah.
John Glenn, STS-95.
And 92 with Pam Milroy, because my best friend was very good friends with Pam, and so I got a little bit, behind the scenes with some of those.
Well, there's a picture you took of Pambo when she was an astronaut candidate.
That's right. Yep.
Why do I know that? Because she doesn't have any mission patches on her right side.
And one of the very many that she blessed me with signing for me. That was out at the shuttle landing facility watching a shuttle land, and she was out there, and I saw her later on.
She became the second woman to be a pilot and then a commander of a shuttle after Eileen Collins. And oddly enough, all 3 of her missions were in the month of October there. Okay. So I think that's pretty cool. 95 and 112 and 120 there. So and I got to meet her a couple times. She's got the nickname Pambo, like Rambo, so that might be a little insight to her personality. But she was later NASA administrator, deputy administrator, I mean. It was Bill Nelson, then Bob Cabana is associate administrator, and she's the deputy third in charge there. And when we went to Houston to induct Travis Thompson's White Room suit there, she was there, and it was very fun to talk to. Washington, D.C. at the Udvar Hazy.
She knew her business.
And so now I understand she's part of a private company has snagged her after her service to our country under the Biden administration. Thank you very much. But yeah, all her missions in the month of October, 39 days, she could say she was spending in there. As we go back to the shuttles, can't leave out, you've met Mike McCulley quite a few times,
right.
I know. In STS-34 is the second of 2 interplanetary missions launched in the month of October, and we're going to talk about one of them here in just a pair of minutes. There's Pambo again. We also know our UFO expert Ken Verderami knows her very well.
Okay.
And worked with her and Rick Husband, astronaut who perished in Columbia as the commander, worked with them on the X-37B that was called the X-40 at the time. And so a very, very smart lady. We're going to talk about this mission, STS-41, launched on October 6th at 7:47 a.m. So that got you up pretty morning, huh?
Yep. Or
and
probably
Dean Babcock's asking about Travis Thompson, and we don't know. He has gone his own way, and we're not in touch with him here at the museum, but we enjoyed him while he was here. Talking about Triple T, who was the lead White Room technician for many years up there. We got Richard Richards on his. It was 2 astronauts who'd had 2 flights to space. Richard Richards and Bill Shepard, and the rest were rookies. Okay, and we know Bruce Melnick was the first let's show this picture here. Bruce is on the left, the first Coast Guard person to go to space. Bruce Melnick loves this photo. He raved about it, talked to me several times about it. He thinks that's the coolest astronaut crew photo ever taken because it was a real photo on the runway after their T-38 landed with a beautiful sunset going on, and it had just rained, and he said the photographer used a little fill flash there, so it's not a green screen image there.
It's always been one of my favorites because there were so often their crew photos were shot in front of American flags. Not that there's anything wrong with American flags. I like that, but this showed, it was out in open air, and it gave a much more feeling. It wasn't a sterile environment.
Yeah.
It was much more natural.
You got and Cabana and Richards are squatted down there. Of course, Cabana flew 3 more missions, twice as a commander, and Akers and Melnick flew together on STS-49, the maiden flight of Endeavour with Kathy Thornton. And that's the joy of being here for so many years, and like you being involved, is you connect these things, and we want to connect that for you out there. Not to brag that we owe that we know these people like this, but that we know their story, and we're here to tell their story. And that's why it's my privilege to know Bruce Melnick and Bob Cabana, and able to access them a time or two for help with the museum.
I met
there,
Bruce
so.
Melnick actually he was giving a fishing tournament.
Oh, really?
Hosting a fishing tournament, and I got hired to be the photographer for that. And I got to spend the day with him and a couple of baseball players and some other astronauts, and it was...
Yeah, he loves his fishing, and there might have been an alcoholic beverage involved there or two.
I didn't see any.
You didn't?
I didn't partake of
Oh,
any,
okay.
at least.
But Ulysses was the spacecraft that was going to orbit the poles of the moon, of the sun, I mean. Nothing had orbited over the sun's poles. Everything had been seen from the sides of it, so to speak. All the spacecraft, all the Earth telescopes. So they're really interested in how this dynamics of a star that spins and rotates, what does that look like? And so that's what this was all about. But to get to the poles took a lot of energy around the most massive object in the solar system, of course, gravity-wise. So they went out to Jupiter and went away from the sun for a year, about 3 years, and looped over Jupiter, and then eventually made it over the poles, I think 5 or 6 years later. This operated for over 19 years, providing some valuable data to astrophysicists everywhere about certain things. Marty, go ahead with your question on that UCX family microphone.
Yeah, Steve Holcomb is asking you, Carlton, what was your favorite photo location?
For the space shuttle, my favorite was the VAB roof. After that, if you're talking about remotes, I think that if you got it from what I call the 5 o'clock position of the orbiter, you get like a highly technical shot. But if you went around to the side or the back, you could get a technical shot on the pad, but I would always go for the artsy shot as well. But overall favorite spot, if I could be there, I was in the chase plane that kept the other planes out of the area during a launch.
Ooh,
that was my favorite, but it was at night, so we'll say that my launch, my airplane view.
You were in a chase plane one time?
I was in the plane that would fly up to other planes, and they had to get close enough to the other plane to identify the pilot. And if you've ever been in a plane, you know how close you got to be to another plane to see through the windows to identify the pilot. Because if that plane was in the area and it landed, that pilot could run away, and when they found the owner of the plane, they could say, well, that wasn't me. So they had to visually identify the pilot in flight inside the area, which I wasn't,
illegally inside the area, let's say.
which I wasn't aware of totally before I went up there at night. And fortunately, nobody came. But you basically be wingtip to wingtip with them. But I did get to see it, and the pilot of our plane, and when the chase plane, when it went out far enough away, and as it got down to T0, we were like almost directly beside the pad, just outside the blast area. And as it took off downrange, the plane kind of followed it and raised up a little bit, and I got to follow the orb, the flight of the thing while we were in space. That's my favorite, but it was nighttime, so it wasn't that good. But overall, that and the VAB roof.
Excellent. Good story there. Marty, I didn't know you did that. You were in a chase plane to chase away illegal intruders in the airspace.
I did a lot of things before the internet. So again, we'll keep this show going for years with some of our stories.
There you go. There you go. Marty's got a question. Well, what's this one? What year is this one, by the way?
That's from '95. That's the meltdown when Destroyer ended up killing him, and he caught fire, and the radiation kind of killed him, and he kind of exploded, and
the original Godzillas, as they got older, they got bigger in the hips.
Right. Well, don't we all?
Marty's got a question for you there.
Here we got a question from Dean Babcock. Besides Spaceview Park, where is the best place to view a launch?
Jetty Park is a good place to view a launch from the Cape for a SpaceX or an Atlas.
Anywhere on the beach. I'd also say don't underestimate on 536 going into the port. Pull off the side of the road, of course, on the north side.
Right.
And right there at the river. That's an interesting place to
Anywhere
watch it, too.
along US 1 from Highway 50 north, if it's going north, and say 50 south on US 1 if it's heading south. That way you're sort of in the between. If you know it's going north, go to Spaceview Park. If you can't get there, it's busy. There are so many parks alongside US 1 between Titusville and Cocoa, where I am. You can almost pull off anywhere. And there's a park, and you just park there, and it's like a tailgate party. Where
Port St. John fishing dock.
That's my go-to if it's middle of the night.
Right there. I live real close to Faye myself. So good question. Thank you very, very much there.
Thank you.
Well, let's get the working man working there. There you are. There's Bruce.
Now,
Melnick on the right.
That almost looks like Mike McCulley on the left, but he wasn't on that
that's not
flight.
Mike.
But it's not. It's
That's an engineer. That don't
no,
look like
no,
that.
he was an astronaut. And so, but he's one of. If
Might
he
have
was
to be Akers. then.
Acres, I was what I figured.
Yeah.
But that was in the clean room with Galileo.
No,
Ulysses. I'm sorry, Ulysses in the background. And this is the day before digital, and we had to shoot on film, and they had lights in there because the satellites were all light sensitive. And I think I sent you what an original would look like, and it was pretty much purple. So we'd have to correct for that. That's it on top there, on top of the USA, but it was IUS booster, inertial upper stage.
IUS
Yes.
inertial upper stage is the second stage is the booster that's going to send it to Jupiter, though its destination is the sun.
And up top, you can see it sitting there barely, as you show that it was not that large. And that's it there. That's as it was getting ready to get put into the canister to be taken out to the pad.
To be taken into the payload bay of the
Correct.
shuttle.
Correct.
And let's see, that was Orbiter Discovery.
And that's just a much better view of.
Now, you're covered up. I always wondered this. You got your feet covered, your hands covered, everything's covered for germs, okay?
Right.
How about that camera that you pulled out of that nasty camera bag that's got your candy bars in it and all
The photographers always looked forward to these white room sessions because you would have to give them, you'd have to take the straps off, anything that was, furry, so to speak, you'd have to take the straps off. They didn't want the cloth,
Okay.
and you'd put it on a table.
So there
and
was an inspection of your
there was an
camera.
inspection, and
for
they
germs.
would clean them, technically clean them.
Is that right?
They would clean them with alcohol, and see to it
Swabs.
that swabs, and they would see to it that there was no dust or dirt, and if they found anything that was too bad, they could say, no, that's not going in. And we all look forward to that because our camera's got a real good cleaning, and
That's cool.
it was nice.
By the way, what we're looking here is it did look like a lot, and I don't have anybody with some insight there as I read my notes. 2 upper stages, the inertial upper stage and a mission-specific payload assist module,
Okay, that
or
yeah.
PAM, combined together for the first time to send Ulysses to an out-of-ecliptic trajectory. All right.
So, way I understood it from the yellow, which is probably like a catwalk kind of thing, actually, in the middle of the picture down would be the IUS. And then just above it, which you can kind of see in the other picture, there. Well, it's kind of
payload
hidden by
assist
the
module.
payload assist module
Is right beneath the
is right
spacecraft.
beneath the spacecraft.
Solid rocket booster there.
It would
all,
have-
all these solid rocket boosters. They weren't going to put any liquid. This was supposed to be an Atlas rocket fueled to take this mission. And after the Challenger accident, they decided not to send up anything to payload bay with some fuel in it.
No.
Like, let's don't do that. Marty, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah.
Okay. He was scratching his head like I was, I guess. There. So this is the structure here to in the clean room. The yoke on the bottom there is
Right. So that
it's like a telescope yoke.
so this area here, that would be the bottom of the actual Ulysses.
And they need to attach it to those.
And of course the little transmitter back to Earth, and that would you would attach the PAM stage or the payload assist module to right here.
Big part of interplanetary probes that you notice is of course the radio dish to send and receive signals from Earth on there. So the walkout's always an important and brief thing that your editor wants you to capture, but you might have 30 seconds to not even a minute for them to walk out of the operations and check out to the van.
And some walkouts are a little bit more special. Some pictures are a little bit more special. This one is the actual walkout of STS-41. First, it shows just how close we were to the astronauts.
How many other? We see 4, 5 astronauts.
There was 5 astronauts. So this,
I mean, I see 4 photographers there,
right.
and you counts 5. So what is there? Another 50 there? 30 or 50?
On either side, there's probably another 30 to 50.
Yeah.
With this one, the image, the guy in the far right with the mullet, that's me. This is a official NASA photograph.
Oh, where is it?
So the one on the
You were
far
a
right.
mullet man back then.
Well,
huh?
everybody was, especially
no,
if you live,
no. Now Marty wasn't, I'm sure.
no.
Nor was I.
Okay, so that is myself. So I am forever emblazoned in official NASA photograph. Now
That's
the
cool.
fella in the gray hair, just directly in front of the astronaut, that's Ray Yost, who's unfortunately has passed away. I met Ray because he like Sam Bedingfield,
Yes.
was one of the gentlemen that retired and came back and helped the remote photographers and helped the shuttle program at the press site. So that's Ray Yost. Now, to make it even better, the gentleman to the left of Ray Yost is Tom. This guy right here, that's Tom Usiak.
Oh.
And we're not listed on the back of the
I
photograph.
don't believe it or not. Wow.
Well, I know, because he's got hair, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Tom. But that is Tom Usiak. The middle one is Ray Yost, which he and Tom were best friend. Tom would stay at Ray's house when they would come down, and I am on the far right. This is at a point where we knew the NASA photographer, and I think this one might have been one of those. He was back there trying to get a different kind of walkout picture because he had a camera up on the bar taking the technical shot, and this was sort of an artsy shot that he probably did because I asked him to do it, and I can't guarantee it, but yeah, Tom and I are forever, and this is
That's cool. There's got to be another frame or two where they're in this area where that blank space.
right,
where
but
they're all
this
spread out.
is like basically full frame
Yeah.
on the picture that NASA released.
Tom got a great picture of that walkout. I wish I'd known next time we do this next year, we'll make sure we see Tom's image of that.
Okay.
They're up in space. Maybe we'll do it. And we see that Astro van out at the Kennedy Space Center very frequently when we go out there for autographs.
That's next to the autograph
It's
section.
right
yeah.
up there at the Atlantis building. Well, beautiful photograph. Now, is that a remote camera?
That's a
or is that
remote camera. One of the side
angle?
shots that you'd have to walk through maybe 150 feet of swampland and knee-high to face-high grass with it'd have a track that they would cut through it to the waterfront and set up down by the water so you could get a lake shot.
When the first, like STS-1 and the early ones, I know you didn't participate in that, but you hear old timers talk about it. Were they surprised at the amount of clouds created by the SRBs, and and then some of it is steam coming off the water from the SSMEs. An incredible amount of smoke and stuff in
I would
there.
have to imagine, at least for the first one,
You
since
couldn't predict that.
you couldn't predict it. Now they had done a flight readiness firing, so they knew what the main engines would be putting out to the left side
Yeah.
on this picture, but they had no clue, and they'd seen what one solid motor would do in testing out in Utah.
Right.
So they kind of had an idea, but on a controlled with that. I think it was like, let's put it, I understood Ralph Morse put one almost in the flame trench. And I think they found it out on the beach, but I'm not positive.
Right.
This is a technical shot. This was with 35 millimeter. Tom, obviously, he has his Hasselblad out there. So his obviously was much better than mine, but I still think it's a great one. I did get a little lens flare, because I probably had a filter on it, but this is the technical kind of shot that I would
Watch
do.
that backlight off those filters bouncing around in there. Marty's got a question for our guest, Carelton Bailie. Hope you're enjoying him reminisce about his career. If you're a photographer, even amateur, and you know, you understand some of the foibles that can happen when you're trying to photograph anything. So hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. And we got a couple of Godzilla here and some other friends of yours.
I'm going to
around
have to
here,
watch
so.
it. You might try to steal
He
him.
kind of likes me. He's
I
kind
know.
of, yeah.
He's,
It's a good Halloween. He's got some skeleton stuff here, and yeah. All right, Marty, what we got there, buddy?
Got a question from Dean Babcock. Carlton, how long before the walkout did you have to get to the front row for the picture?
They would take us to the walkout at least an hour,
Good
maybe an
question.
hour and a half before walkout, I think. And to get a spot, the first few times I didn't understand what was going on, so I would kind of be hidden behind people. And then I realized, oh, we'd take a ladder, and the tallest person, as long as they didn't have a ladder, you could still tower over them. So I learned to take a ladder. So even if you weren't in the front row, you would still get a good shot. So on this one, you could actually see Tom and Ray and I kind of are a little taller than the fellow that's next to me, because we'd be standing up on ladders. We also, if people were behind us, I would always move back a little bit and let a shorter person in front of me. That's the way I am. But it was at least an hour to an hour and a half, hour and 50 minutes. And then when you got off the bus, they would warn you not to run, could walk briskly, but they'd have the guys with the guns and their fingers on
The guys with the guns. Yes.
and their fingers were on the trigger, so you knew to respect them.
Trigger guard, I hope.
They were the SWAT guys,
Yeah, okay.
and they had the SWAT team out there just to make sure. And
Great
again,
question. Good question. It's yes. It's
Again, hurry up and wait an hour and a half for
Yeah.
a 5-second.
Hurry,
photo.
yeah. Hurry up and wait for if you're lucky, 30 seconds for them to come out and walk by you, and it's over. And
Hoo-ah.
and you can't redo it. You can't. Oh, could you guys walk back out there and do that again? Because I didn't focus quickly enough. My
I think Pam was the first one. She brought her crew out and
one of
stopped
them
them.
stopped and waved.
And I
yeah.
think she was the first one
Yeah, right.
that maybe George convinced her that stop, wave, and she stopped her crew. She lined them up, gave everybody a chance to get a good walkout shot.
Now, who do you mean by George?
George Shelton was my best friend at the time. He was the NASA photographer that would do all the suiting up pictures. He was in the suit up room. He would be the official walkout photographer. The iconic picture looking straight down over the edge of the VAB on the shuttle rolling out.
Oh yeah.
That was one of his shots.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And he's not out there. He passed away a few years from cancer, but he.
Well, let's take you just a little more closer there with the always the hot engines overpowering the exposure there is hard to balance. Particularly, this is where the sun's very low on the horizon, 7:30 in the morning. So quite a trade-off there, wasn't it?
And it was a lot harder to judge with you had set presets that you would do, hoping that it stayed to be those conditions.
Let's see, what's Tommy say? Carlton and I were connected to the same remote unit for close-up launch shots.
That's why his 41 looks exactly like mine, except for his was a Hasselblad, and mine was 35 millimeter. And
Michael Bruno down in Miami's asking on that shuttle launch one, would you feel a lot of heat? No, you'd never be that close. We talked about.
no, you'd have your eardrums blasted
yeah.
out and probably bleed to death before they find you.
And Marty's seen all these launches. Part of being away is not the fact that if it blows up, you could get hurt. It's the human eardrums cannot sustain this amount of noise.
Well,
right, Marty? You saw plenty of them.
Yeah, but the main thing is if there was an accident, it blow up, you had to be 3 miles away.
Great, good. What a great launch, and just one of how many shuttle launches you think you did? 70 or so?
I missed the first 7, and I did the 8th through 24th, except for the one DoD flight, usually from the Causeway as a tourist. And then Challenger was the first one I did at the press site. And I did every other one from the press site, from Challenger 51L through 135.
So you hit about
except for the
130 of them.
Except for the one that I was in the airplane for, I was at the press site for.
Well, great photography. You see some stories and how it happens. And though this is not Discovery landing, it's Endeavour. It's how tricky is it to photograph and get a sharp, in focus, right exposure of a 200-ton spacecraft returning to Earth at 200 miles an hour.
Well, you've shot NASCAR before, and they're only going 100 miles an hour.
Right.
It's tough, and trying to track it on a tight lens so that you get it all. You sometimes will get the front, then your back, and then the back and the front, and every third picture might be it centered. So you have to sweep it in unison with it going by. This probably wasn't even an autofocus, so you kind of had to focus on something along the runway pre-flight and manually focus it. It's going down. So that's why when you'd only see 1 or 2 really good landing shots for me, yeah, because some of the others might not
Well,
be.
that's right. And maybe we'll show some of the bad work to show that, there's a lot of pancakes you throw out of the batter because they don't look good. And but my point of photography insight is this is not a repetitive event that you photograph frequently enough to understand the rhythm of you as a photographer when to push that shutter. It's not like being a baseball photographer and there's a man on first and the guy at the plate and you've already focused your camera for that second baseman's throw to do the double play that you've been there and seen a dozen or 100 times.
Right.
Same way, any sports activity, particularly as a photographer, you're looking for the repetitive motion or repetitive spot on the court or field where they will always be coming to you and you can be ready for that. But when you see one shuttle landing, if you're lucky, 2 a year,
Right.
am I
You
right?
would have to try
between
to,
Kennedy and then
Right.
going out to Edwards.
and sometimes
You
they come
don't
in from the
really have
north. No.
that down. Yeah.
Some would come in from the north, some would come in from the south. Some of them would come in the middle of the night, and they did not have lights on the thing for fear of blinding the commanders or the pilots as they're coming in. They would have the xenon lights.
Oh.
If they were coming from the south, they would have the xenon lights pointing that way. So until they hit the lights, you were like, okay, maybe it's there, maybe it's not. And you would kind of hear this whoosh, and as it would hit the lights, you would then see it, and then you could focus on it. And as it's going by the lights, then you could get it. After that, when the chute would come out, you might get the chute, but everything else would be kind of dark.
What'd that whoosh sound like?
Whoosh.
Yeah.
And then you hear the thump, 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 thump of the APUs.
Yeah, the puffing of the expanding the exhaust on there. So not as easy as it looks. That's why this is really a good photograph, and great work there, Carelton Bailie, capturing. I think that's STS 77 is my notes there.
Okay.
But, boy, you know that landing gear just shot down about 5 seconds before the landing, and a lot of happy astronauts on that one there.
Just real quick, with the 135, the very, very last one, I was a little out of sorts that day. It came in at night at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was going to be the last ever. So you talk about the only shot at it. It was the last ever at like 4 in the morning, and you're across the thing. And when it lands, and I'll show you these, I've got these, and I'm not sorry. Every shot I took, and once you see it, you just kind of lean on that shutter and let it go as fast as it'll go. And I probably got 20, 25 shots off.
Mm-hmm.
Every shot had the front or the back or out of focus, or the front or the back or the middle. Everything was out of focus or partial, except for the very, very last frame. Totally in frame, totally in focus. So the very last shot, I'm getting goosebumps here.
Oh.
Very last shot I ever shot of the active
That's
was
cool.
135,
That's cool.
and
And it was the shot that you used there.
it was totally.
I understand that. It's uncanny that you shoot a roll of 24 exposures, and invariably that 24th
Is the
or
perfect
23rd
one.
is the one that you shot. It's sort of like an athlete warming up and getting into the groove.
Mhm.
And so you photographers out there are creative people in anything like that understand that process, I'm sure. And we're happy to share that with our good buddy Carelton Bailie here today. Thanks, Carelton. I'm going to segue to something that's a little bit different that happened in space history that we like to celebrate. Was on this date, October 9th, 1963, was envisioned a flying carpet ride could be happening with our astronauts
Nope,
there.
Nope.
There's you escorting some damsel in distress on
Okay,
your
and-
magic carpet on a full moon there. But no, I'm talking about Douglas Paracone, the flying carpet escape system from orbital space stations. Let's see, 62 years ago, it was envisioned that this escape system would be needed to get emergency rescue from an orbiting space station. The escape system would be a saucer-shaped re-entry material that would expand into a blunt-nosed cone-shaped vehicle, 8 meters across. That's 24 feet. That's pretty big. The vehicle would act as its own brake as it passed through the atmosphere. Re-entry heating problems would be met by using fabrics woven with filaments of nickel-based alloys. All right, who wants to sign up for this? Okay, or maybe you want to sign up for a magic carpet ride.
I signed up for them, and I
I
took a
did sign
magic
up for
ride,
them.
carpet ride with them more than
That's
once.
right.
So.
Great song by a great name group, Steppenwolf. Very, very influential to us baby boomers. And I picked this picture because I photographed, frankly, hundreds of bands over my lifetime. I did a lot of bands in Tennessee, a lot of bluegrass bands. what photographer hasn't done this shot of laying on the ground and having the members all look at? All right, everybody, now look at me here.
I've done that with rockets.
Yeah, with rockets there. So, Magic Carpet write a big psychedelic song for this 1960s
It's
band.
being used for commercials now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, the humanity music that we grew up for is now
music that's a half a century old is used for
commercials.
Dozens of commercials out there. I heard a Hendrix song, Crosstown Traffic, being played for a Cadillac commercial, and I'm going like, wow, that's one of my favorite songs.
I'm not getting old. You're not getting
55 years
old.
ago. Hendrix died 55 years ago this month. So anyway, we digress with our baby boomer chit chat here. You all understand that. An incredible vision of the times. Yes, sir, Oliver Brown. We like that a lot. And thank you for enjoying our show today, Man Space there. So this is what this looked like. This was actually a concept that they spent money on. All right, to think about this. You would have an ejecting seat type. I don't know how you'd crawl into this, what the space station probably looked like, one of those 2001 Space Odyssey gravity wheel things that von Braun wanted to have. But the Paracone Rescue was actually had seat restraints, a life support pack, reentry vehicle, weighed 50 kilograms, that's 120 pounds. It had a pressurization system, a control system, a retro motor, ejection motors, beacons, a packaging structure. The whole thing weighed 500 pounds, all right, 200 and some kilograms, all right. And there's the man in the middle there. See the person right there.
Was this good for the Apollos? Is this going to be used for Apollos, or wait till they got a space station?
Well, I'm sure that they would use it for anything they could. The astronaut would first roughly orient himself in the seat facing forward along a direction of the orbital motion using cold gas thrusters. Then he would ignite the solid rocket motor. The motor had 18 seconds of low-level vernier thrust, during which time the pilot would correct its alignment using handholds on the motor. That's like a boat motor thing, it sounds like. Then it went into 60 seconds of full thrust. The Paracone was designed to handle reentry angles resulting from up to 30 degrees misalignment of the motor. And accuracy was within 500 miles of the planned impact path. So you got a 500-mile accuracy range on this thing. The Paracone was going to be made of Rene 41 alloy fabric. That is something that the metal was made out of on the Mercury capsule, the Rene shingles, with Teflon coating. Heat loads were calculated. I got another great picture here. Heat loads were calculated to be within the heat rejection capacity of the astronaut's portable life support system. A ballistic re-entry followed with a peak of about 10 Gs. No parachute was required. The terminal velocity of the Paracone was 42 kilometers an hour. That's about 24 miles an hour. And impact was absorbed by the crushable structure of the cap of the cone.
See, looking at that, he's wearing a Mercury Gemini helmet, which means they'd have to have two of these or built onto the back of the seat that the Gemini astronaut was sitting in, or do they play rock, paper, scissors as to which one of them gets to come?
Who wants to climb on that baby there? Now, I will show you here up close. I didn't put a slide in there, but let me go this way and do that. We had thought about a personal rescue enclosures in the 1980s with this thing that was astronauts actually got in this ball to see if it would work. This could have been something that might have been put in use if they had them laying around to rescue Columbia astronauts if they could. Because if you got another shuttle up there, no one had spacesuits to get over there. But this, you could grab it with the handle and take somebody from one spacecraft to another for about a 20 to 30 minutes worth of air and so forth in that. So this was that's our first 6 female astronauts around that thing. And they've got Valentina Tereshkova stuffed inside of it in there.
She fight.
Not really.
No, I was going to say she.
All right, but there you go. There's your magic carpet ride, folks, on a Thursday with the one and only Carelton Bailie. Very popular show today. We hope that you all get used to Carelton coming on here on a monthly basis and ask it. We'll find some other things to talk about. Pop culture, of course, is good. Any kind of space pop culture you want to talk about on there, you'd be a good one to talk about some of your favorite movies of outer space, like we've watched before. I know you got a big 3D library assembled there. With my favorite one, of course, is Forbidden Planet.
Oh,
But
come on.
we did some shows with Nick Thomas, and Nick Thomas will be on the show Monday to talk about Apollo 7 and the one and only Wally Schirra. And you know, you've had a few meals with Nick around the table. He's always got great stories. So we're going to have Nick back on there. But I think, yeah, let's talk about movies one day.
He can do the top 10 and I can do the bottom 10. I
How
prefer
appropriate is that?
I prefer the B, C, and D grade movies. They're the ones that you can laugh at because they're so
Oh,
hilarious.
absolutely.
They're good.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of those out there
No,
in the science
no.
fiction genre. The Prehistoric Women from Venus
Ooh.
is one that I've watched occasionally. Mamie Van Doren's in that, as you well know, and those sirens on Venus. So we'll talk about that with Carelton maybe next
Zsa Zsa
month
Gabor.
when we have him in here to help you all stay curious. So tomorrow we've got a show about the scheduling of shuttle and how people kept track of what to do, the work on each orbiter and where it was in their timeline with Eric Baker tomorrow on Stay Curious. Eric's been on the last couple Fridays sharing his knowledge of everything from should it stay or should it go, Discovery that is.
Mm-hmm.
We think it should stay where it's at.
Oh, definitely.
Washington, D.C. And so Eric Baker tomorrow to give you some behind the scenes of how they scheduled this incredible menu of things that had to be serviced
The
on a
most
reusable
complex
spacecraft.
machine ever built.
So thank you, Carelton, for a great job today. Thank you for bringing all your buddies with you here.
Well,
And Fodzilla, what are you hiding over there, Fodzie? Get over
look,
here.
even the green screen.
tell
His
everybody.
atomic abilities, the green screen won't.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If anybody has any questions in between, feel free to reach out to me.
If you're local, they could come and get your autograph and a picture with you. I know you're going to be somewhere Sunday.
Melbourne Comic and Memorabilia Show down at the Melbourne Civic Center. I'll be there.
It's just Saturday, correct?
Sunday from
Sunday, yeah,
10
Sunday.
to 10 to
Something
5.
I've attended for the last 4 or 5 years. That's where I couldn't believe how many people loved Godzilla and knew about all this stuff. And you know, Rodan. We haven't even mentioned Rodan.
No, we
And-
gotta
and, the moth.
the Mothra. We still got there's 2 new Japanese Godzilla movies coming out next year. There's a new American.
Oh my goodness,
So-
goodness.
So
So thank you for coming, having a lot of fun. Hope
I-
you all enjoy how we do different things every day here on the American Space Museum episode of Stay Curious. And we couldn't do much of it without that guy over there, Marty Winkle. Thank you. Say a good word or two about Marty if you can think of one.
I talked to him just a few days ago saying I got to get down here. I got to get him involved over at the Space Center. I got to meet him up one day with the astronaut because I need another tour of the moon landing over at the Apollo
yeah.
Saturn building. He is the best tour guide I've ever had in my 40 years of going out there.
LM9 sitting over there, the real deal.
I learned more that one day from him than I've learned in my entire career.
You learned your Inconel from your Mylar, from your Inconel, Mylar, and Kapton foil.
And the fact that there's actually an engine on the one at the Apollo Sanger building.
There is. What I learned was the exhaust slit on the back of it. I never thought that through. But thanks a lot, Carlton. Appreciate you coming in
Anytime,
here. Everybody
anytime.
loves seeing you at the museum.
Right.
Anytime you want to put on one of our gray volunteer polo shirts and escort people around the museum, well, you can wear your seasonal stuff. So we will see what you bring us to wear for Thanksgiving, and then I know your Christmas garb
I've
already.
got the
so.
Christmas one. Yep.
Absolutely. So, Marty, anything else we need to button up over there on our Stay Curious board?
No, we're all buttoned up.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir, for your support of this museum
I like
and
this name.
and volunteering. We've got RG Jubilee watching. Here, you read them off there.
Okay, Woody M2, Steve Jokums, Doug Forrest out in California. Hello. Oliver Brown, Tom Usiak. The kiddies are waiting. RTL 1960 in Scotland, which is Robert Law. Hey, I'm glad to talk to you on the fly there. Set It Up, Blow It Up. That's a new one. I'm not
Yeah.
Mitch Rothman, good to see you. We'll see you when you come back town. Fred Kilner, I think it is, at Fred Kilner 2299. Luau Summer, is it? Summer?
Leanne Summer.
Oh,
She's,
Leanne, okay.
joined us here the last couple of weeks. We
Dean
appreciate that.
Babcock, Michael Bruno, and Tom Celentano. And all these people know all about you and me. We don't know anything about them. So maybe one day they'll go on your
Yeah, you met some of them, and
Met
some
some
of
of
them will be
them.
at Shuttle Fest and want to meet you. You met Dean Babcock at Shuttle
right,
Fest, maybe.
right. I met Doug
and Tom Stellan Museum
Robert
a couple
Law.
months ago. Yep. You were.
I told him next year I'll have to find my family's tartan
Kilt?
skirt. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Stay curious, and thank you for embracing our museum in so many ways.
Thanks for
Once
putting up with
again,
me.
we'll be back tomorrow with Eric Baker, test project engineer on the shuttle, who says Discovery was his orbiter, and it was a privilege that he loaned it to the astronauts for their use. And so we'll be talking to him about processing those orbiters. Again, thanks to my buddy Carelton Bailie
Anytime,
here.
anytime.
Stay healthy and stay well, all of you out there. Until next time, I'm Mark Marquette saying we can't wait to see you where? Here at the museum to bridge the space between us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a wrap.
It was a long one, sorry.
An hour
But
and 22 minutes.
Oh my God, 20 hour and 22
you know what
minutes.
I got to thinking? It's like, how many times have we been in